Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth, and I'm back today to do a live recording here. I really wanted to jump on today to talk about some ideas that I had as far as like strategy and planning for these very challenging times, and some of the things that are going to be helpful for people to kind of plan ahead and think ahead and think in big picture terms, and kind of maybe put some pieces together for some people that, um, you know, for whatever reason, need a little bit of direction or maybe need a little bit of inspiration. I by no means have all of the answers. These are just some of the things that I've thought of, and um, I have a kind of perspective because, I am an intuitive. I'm very psychic. I have a feeling for like what's going on in the world. Um, I I resonate with a lot of the things that people have said, but the things that have like fallen into my lap, that haven't been from any YouTubers, that have just been from people that I've met, that I have been eye openers for me. I feel like that's the stuff that's going to be really helpful, or most helpful, because that's like the everyday person sharing what they understand to be true. And then when that comes to pass, then I absolutely know for a fact it's not because it's, you know, somebody's, uh, I don't know, wanting to kind of push that perspective, but it's really um, a genuine belief, and from just an everyday person. So I kind of like want to challenge everybody to talk to their friends, talk to their families, get an idea about what people think. If people think that we are in the end times, if people think that this is the apocalypse, if people think that, and what that really means. And the thing is I think like even myself, I was thinking about this today. I was like, even myself, it's really hard to define what that really means and how that really is going to shake out. And I think that um, many people, you know, want to know how it's all going to kind of shake out. And I'm not here to really be that person because I don't even know myself exactly how. I just know that there are certain things that have come to pass that are red flags that indicate that the road ahead is going to be more challenging than it's ever been. And that means people are going to need to make some serious decisions. And they're going to need to really plan ahead. And they're going to need to really step into this. We are in Sun Virgo energy right now. The sun's in the sign of Virgo. Step into that very detail oriented, down to earth, practical energy and go, okay, what is it exactly that I'm going to need if the S was supposed to go down, and if certain things are going to come to pass? Because I think that if we embrace that energy, and say, okay, these are the practical things, and be really strategic about it, be really mindful about it, then I think that it's going to be helpful for you in the long term, and helpful to feel like, I don't know, like feel like a sense of control, because I feel like what's coming, people are going to feel like a sense of things being out of control. And I'll tell you, I think it was the night that I did that recording, my last recording, I went to the store and a bag of rice was double. It's $14. It used to be $7. And now it's $14 for that same bag of rice. And instead of a jar, I like these like jarred Indian curries, like I can mix things with. Just to kind of change it up, make things different. They are now $8 instead of being, they used to be like four something or five something. I think they were like $4.99, and now they are $8. So, um, the problem is that there's multiple things happening, and there's multiple things that are going to come to pass and come down the line, that are going to make things even more challenging. And I hate to say that. And I want to do a video that's really all gentle messages. Like, I think people really need a break. They need a break. But Virgo, the energy of Virgo, this September, with all these planets retrograde, doesn't feel like it's going to ease up. It just doesn't. So the way to kind of feel like we're in control is to be strategic and plan. Oh, I was saying, so after I went to the store that night, I thought to myself on the way home, I'm never going to make it. I'm unemployed. I pick up gigs however I can. I pick up clients however I can. I barely have anything to live on. I was like, I'm not going to make it. I was like, I'm just not going to make it. I need to do something. I need to go live with someone. I need to go home, but I can't go home. I can't go home to live with my family. And I don't, my very nearest and dearest friend, during the pandemic was worried that I was going to give him the bug, and told me I could not go there. Family members have said I cannot go live with them. So there is an SOL point for me, but it was weird because after I did that video, I was like, I just felt a sense of just like loss, of wondering, okay, well, how am I supposed to go forward at this time? And a lot of people are going to get to that moment where they're not really sure and they really don't know. And it's difficult, I think, at this time to I don't know really how to say it, but like to really grasp what's happening, like into the fullest extent, because what's happening is actually really scary. And what's happening, I don't like. And what's happening is, like I wrote in my journal, is like, I'm scared for the planet. And that night, like, so after I went to the store and I saw that bag of rice was now $14, I cried. I cried the entire ride home. All I wanted was my dad, and my dad has passed. Those of you who know, have watched my channel, I talk a lot about my dad. My dad has passed. And all I wanted was to talk to my dad to make things better. But honestly, like, I was like, this shit is real. This shit is so super real. And the thing is I've been on Twitter a lot yesterday and today, and looking at people who are really in serious need. They have a job and they have an income, but they're not able to pay their bills. They're not able to make any ends meet at all. They're barely scraping by, if at all. Maybe they scrape by and they can pay some things, but then they can't do other things. So it's like, how am I supposed to write a list that's strategic for them? That's the hard part. Is like, I don't know the way forward for the person that can't pay their electric. Because the way forward, people have to be able to afford to be able to do that, plus, and this is the hard part, plus a lot more, plus prepare. And so, like, if people can't afford to feed their dog or take the dog to the vet when the dog is sick, and maybe they're working, but they can't afford to pay their electric. Right now, I can't afford to pay my electric myself. My electric bill is $68. And going into the winter, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to pay my electric bill? I'm in the same shoes as a lot of people, only I don't have a job. They have a job. I'm sort of somehow eking out a living. And I've been lucky with housing assistance. Housing assistance came through for September and October. So I would be in my car. And I did talk in my channel before about how I've come very close to being in my car several times, living in my car several times. And because housing assistance actually wasn't going to pay for September, like they said that they had some paperwork issues and they weren't going to be able to do it. So I'm very fortunate that I actually have a roof over my head right now. But the breaking point for me was going to the store and having it be really, really stressful. Really, really, really stressful. And I've already spent all of my SNAP. It's all gone. Like in two purchases. It's all gone. And that's not even really getting what I need for the rest of the month. That's only getting what I need basically for like the next couple weeks, and then storage items, things that like you can store like beans and stuff. So, I'm prefacing what my strategy and my list by talking about what's going on with me. So everybody knows a lot of people like to watch. I like to find out what's going on with me, but that's where I'm at. I do want to say, if you'd like to book a reading, you can book a reading through my website, oracledaphne.com. I'm still an affiliate of Jackery. If you haven't considered getting a solar power generator, now is the time. The link is going to be in the description box below. It really supports me because obviously I don't really have an income right now and I live on basically nothing. What was I saying? And if you'd like to donate, you can donate through PayPal. Again, the link is going to be on my website, oracledaphne.com. Any donations are appreciated, great or small. I do want to say that too. Also, okay, so I wanted to mention, if anybody has things that they're like needing help with, like say they have an electric bill, you can go on Twitter and I will retweet your, whatever it is. If you have like a Cash App handle, I will retweet that so I can help people get the word out there that people need help. People need help at this time. People really need help at this time. Okay, so my strategy for the end times, let's talk a little bit about that. The first thing I want everybody to think about is bigger picture, longer term. Obviously, we have been through a lot with the pandemic, but the thing that I think everybody is not realizing or recognizing is that that is only the tip of the iceberg. That is only phase one. And so that leaves me to say that going forward, you're going to need to make a list of all of your favorite foods and things that you eat. And this, I want to specify, those of you who are like have a special diet that's gluten-free, this is a time where you're going to want to stock up on gluten-free items. All of your favorite foods, all of your favorites, anything that you're going to need, maybe it's coconut flour, almond flour, chickpea flour, chickpeas, any kind of miso, anything that you would get also that's Asian, you're going to want to order that and stock up, okay? But any of you that, even if you don't have a special diet, the thing that I learned from a gardener friend at the garden, he said, buy all of your favorites, all the things that you love to eat, stock up on those. That's what you need. So if you have a favorite spaghetti sauce, buy 10 or 20. My guide was showing me earlier the number 3. And I hate to tell you this, and it can be between 2 and 3, but the amount that people are going to need to stock up for is between 2 and 3 years. And this is going to sound shocking, but that is the number that my guide gave me. If you want to stock up for less, then obviously stock up for less. If you want to stock up for more, stock up for more. There's a lot of things that are perishable after a couple of years. So the things that you're going to want to buy are dry and well packaged, and you're going to want to store them in airtight containers, and be very mindful and check them for bugs and stuff like that after a period of time going forward. Maybe make a little label. And again, we are in September. We are in Virgo energy. So make a little label that says this will expire on such and such a date. Recheck for mold, or recheck for bugs at this time, and do it. And add that to a checklist for yourself. Be very mindful about that. Food is going to be a real issue. I am not the first to say it, and I'm not going to be the last to say it. There's a lot of stuff happening around food right now. And a year ago, I talked to my family. I said, we need to call a family meeting. A certain billionaire was buying up all the land. I said, and then all of the doctors were getting the whatever. And then suddenly it was like, I was putting all these two and two and two and two together. And when you put two and two and two and two together, you come up with this idea of how things are going to go. Now, the fact is that a year later, a lot of the stuff that I put together back then has come to pass. Not having potato shortages, grain shortages, seed shortages, and in general, when there's a bad year harvest-wise, it makes it really difficult for people to have the selection or variety of things that they want, but also to recover the following year. So again, thinking bigger picture, longer term, thinking about how this year is going to affect next year, how the amount of food you have right now is going to affect next year, and the amount of seeds that you have is going to affect next year, and the amount of planting that you've done, and you're still planting yet to be had where I live. Obviously, if you live in the southern hemisphere, you're in a different zone, but we're going into winter here, so maybe you're going into summer there, so maybe this would be a good time. But essentially, you can still plant carrots, you can still plant collards, you can still plant broccoli, you can still plant a lot of things right now that are going to be snow peas, things that are going to last into the winter and through the winter months. So these are things that you're going to want to think about. But yeah, the hardest part, I think, for some people is to be like, well, I don't know how much I'm going to need, because they live day to day. So like at the beginning of the pandemic, when I lived in Omaha, I went to Whole Foods and I was about to do a nosedive for the last onion. And I got to talking with this woman there, and she said, well, I just, I would stock up, but I really just don't know how much I'm going to need. So it's like the person that says, well, goes to the store and is planning to make a soup, and they're like, well, I'm going to need 2 onions exactly, and I'm going to need 2 potatoes exactly, I'm going to need 1 carrot, I'm going to need 1 thing of celery. And see, this is the very Virgo, like, tight. If I don't say exactly and hit the nail on the head, then it's not going to go through. It's not going to make a sense. And the Virgo energy is exact. And this is a problem, because we all carry Virgo energy in the collective. So at times, and this is something I wanted to talk about on my channel, at times there's this energy about specifics that get lost on people. Like, so if I'm not specifically talking about a specific a political figure, then people do not know what I'm talking about. If I don't specifically say you need 12 bags of potatoes to get you through the next 3 years, then they don't know what to do. And this is hard because I cannot tell you exactly how much potatoes is going to feed your family. But I can tell you that you need to go and get enough potatoes and enough stuff to get you through, and plant enough potatoes to get you through the next 3 years. You know, I'm going to skip ahead to one of the other things I said. This is where an education needs to start to happen with people around food and nutrition. And like, I went to the store and I got this beautiful heirloom pink pumpkin. And I was so excited because I was like, I can get the seeds from this beautiful heirloom pink pumpkin. And they still had the organic pinto beans, and they still had the organic black beans that I can use for seeds. And I was super excited. But there was a person checking out. She was checking out donuts. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't have a thing for apple fritters or, really, I could eat donuts. It's bad for my stomach, but I could eat it all day if I didn't have a stomach problem. So I'm not going to tell you not to eat those donuts. But this should be an eye-opener for everybody who's watching about their nutrition and what it's going to take really specifically for them to get through the next 3 years. Health-wise. Which brings me to another thing which nobody wants to hear about, and I'm going to say it. All of those doctors and healthcares could have a real problem that have gotten the thing many times. They are most likely they're not going to make it. So all of the appointments that everybody needs for their doctor stuff needs to be done now. It needs to be done soon. And it's interesting that we are in the September energy of Virgo, and to me, Virgo is teeny tiny little things. It's pills. It's teeny tiny little things. It's healthcare. Like, I can't tell you how many Virgo people I know that work in healthcare. And it's details. And it's that square mathematical mind. The exactness. It's the book smart. It's the CPA person. It's the list. It's crunching numbers. It's, so there's going to be a real problem. There's going to be a real problem when the whole system, the whole healthcare system is going to crumble. In my mind, it's going to crumble because those doctors that have gotten the thing aren't going to make it. They're just not going to make it. And so there's going to be a real problem. There may be a few people that actually do, and maybe a few people that didn't get that, but those doctors' offices are going to be backed up. I had a dream last night, that I tried to get a dental appointment and it was booked up for 6 months. And it's funny because, my dad was a dentist and I have family that's dentist. And, the pandemic really screwed over those people that were taking those classes and getting, there's no docs, there's no new docs. And so what we're left with healthcare is a system that's going to be really broken later in time. And it's really, really, it's messed up now, but it's going to be really, really broken. And I hate to say that, but that's what's happening. The new Earth is not going to be so pill focused. Part of it is, again, not being able to get the appointment. Part of it is going to whoever the doctor is, and the doctor is going to be a robot. So that's something. One of the things that people need to really educate themselves on, speaking of this, is about herbal medicine. There really isn't a lot of education in our culture about herbs and about herbal medicine. That is something that everybody should have in their pantry. Everybody should have herbal remedies on hand. An herbal a propolis throat spray. There's a lot of different stuff. Maybe it's an elderberry cough drop. Maybe it's an elderberry tincture. I basically lived on this elderberry syrup all winter. like all last winter, and I felt like if I didn't take it, I felt a little bit low. So again, there's things that you can buy for $12. A little bottle of elderberry syrup for $12. And that's the future of medicine. The future of medicine is not a little pill. And the future of medicine is not this. I hate to tell everybody that, but that's what I see and that's what I know. And that inherently, I have a vision. I literally have a vision of a doctor's office, and there is a robot standing there, and the robot is taking your information and crunching all of that down and then printing out whatever it is that they say that you need to go get, and then maybe automatically faxing that into whatever off-site space that there is for whatever pills are available at that time. I don't even know if pills are going to be available, but that's one of the steps in the future that I see. Is literally I see a robot taking those vitals. And it's a psychic vision that I've had for some time. So there's other people that have seen this stuff too. I am not alone. I'm not the first person, but that's what they've seen. So again, I'm telling people stuff that's going to be helpful in understanding the strategy and how to think like ahead. Okay. So, I said this before, but I want to stress buying organic and heirloom stuff and investing in organic heirloom stuff, seeds, and planting a garden enough to feed your family, for the next 3 years. So ordering enough seeds, ordering enough bulk stuff to be able to feed your whole family. Part of the issue is that there's not going to be the jobs. There's going to be an issue with jobs. And some people have said, well, we'll always have jobs. There's always going to be jobs available. But again, there's a flattening, right? There's a flattening situation happening, which means that there are just not going to be, it's not going to be like it is right now. And without people having work, they might feel lost, they might not know what they're doing, and they might not have enough for food. I already mentioned learning to cook. Those of you who don't know how to cook, that you put everything in the microwave or reheat everything. That is something that you will need to learn in the future. That is something your kids will need to learn in the future. Your kids, if they make it through the next 10 years, they will need to learn how to forage. They will need to learn how to cook, both outside and inside. If you have kids, you want to teach them how to cook. You want to teach them how to cook on a campfire, and you want to teach them how to cook, with an oven. Teaching them how to cook something in the microwave is not going to help them at all. Okay, so learning how to forage, what that means is foraging berries, foraging mushrooms, foraging wild edibles, pine sap, and elderberries. Things that are outside that you might have the ability to go get that's free. I did mention this several years ago when I was doing SoundCloud. It came to me in a vision of what I kind of wanted as far as the future of food, and part of that was this hybrid between stuff that we buy and stuff that we foraged. So there's a lot of stuff out in the natural world that is healthy that we can use for ourselves. It's one of those things. I've seen people dumpster dive, and that's not what I mean by foraging, but power to you for recycling and repurposing food. I think that is also going to be a thing in the future. That's a thing now, but I think that's going to be more of a thing later, because again, back, I don't even remember when this was. Maybe this was this winter time or even early spring. I started to have these visions of people eating the grass on their lawn. And it scared me. And at that time, my guides were shouting at me. They were shouting at me, buy seeds, onions. They didn't actually stop shouting at me until I bought potato seeds and onion seeds, and corn seeds and beans and all kinds of stuff that that everybody's gonna need. For me, for instance, I eat a lot of carrots, and it's funny because I have like a bazillion carrot seeds that I harvested from my garden this year. They're very special because the day that my dad passed away, I bought these carrot seeds. Like, he had sent me an email with his favorite carrot seeds. And I remember going home one year and him making like a chicken soup with these carrots, and it's just the best. They're the best carrots. So I eat a lot of carrots, and so what am I gonna need in the future? What am I gonna want? I'm gonna want carrot seeds, but I'm also gonna want to plant a lot of carrots too. So I don't know. I'm just kind of putting a lot of ideas out there and talking about stuff for you guys. So hopefully you'll maybe get some ideas from it and start to take it very seriously this time. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure that people can hear me. I gotta check the chat. Nobody's in the chat. Nobody sent anything yet. If somebody could just tell me that they can hear me, that would be good, because sometimes my audio is not that good. So if somebody who's watching just can say, yeah, hi, I can hear you. That would be good. Going on to the kids. I've heard recently from other psychics that, oh, hey, Sarah, thanks so much. Appreciate it. I've heard recently that because we have this North Node in Taurus, it's going to affect the beauty industry, but it's also going to affect clothing. And I believe that, and I've already seen it. So I went to Goodwill the other day, and I try to go to Goodwill regularly because it helps me kind of de-stress. I don't know, I get ideas, and I met this woman one time. She's like, this is kind of how I stay creative. I get into my creative flow, and it's kind of the same thing for me. If I go to Goodwill, even if I don't buy anything, I feel like I kind of get creative ideas from stuff that I find there. Sometimes it's, a piece of old artwork that I think I could refurbish, or sometimes it's a piece of a dress that's something that I want to alter. It's just the creative thing that I like to do. But I noticed this last time that I went that there's very little there. Very little in the men's section specifically. There used to be a lot in the men's section, and now there's very, very little in the men's section at all. So the whole thing with inflation is going to cause a serious issue with clothing, with kids stuff, but with clothing in general for both adults and children. And I'm seeing this specifically affect everybody. In the sense that, yeah, you could buy it, but it's going to cost you a lot to do it. So I would say right now, if you have a credit card, go out, and if you have kids specifically, but even if you don't, go out and get enough stuff for yourself for the next couple of years. Maybe it's a couple new tops, maybe it's a couple new pairs of pants, socks, shoes, winter coats, hats, scarves. Keep it to the basics, because you want to keep the price down. But this is where clothing is going to be a situation. Now, clothing is going to be a situation for other reasons, political reasons, which I'm not getting into. But I will say that from what I it stands to reason that if a bag of rice has doubled in the last 3 months, it went from $7 to being $14. Clothing, you won't be able to get clothing. It sounds ridiculous, but you just won't be able to, because all the places that are going to be making stuff will be basically going bankrupt, going out of business. And I hate to say this too, but there's a woman, she's a psychic. I forget her name. White Rose Pro, I think her YouTube channel is. I forget her. Oh, Psychic Cheryl Lynn. That's who it is. Psychic Cheryl Lynn. She did these predictions. I like to listen to her predictions because they give me like some larger scope on like where things are going. And she predicted that in the future there would be no brick and mortar stores. In the future, there would be no grocery stores. Those two things alone should be like a wake-up call for everybody who's watching this video. Because we are like 2 steps away from that. And that is what I hate to say the dark wants. Because if there aren't places, those are like things that we go out and do naturally. We naturally go to the grocery store. We naturally, when we run out of stuff, we naturally go and get like another shirt if we need more clothes. It's just like, we naturally, like when our kids get larger, we have to go and get more clothes for them that fit them. Like that just is like the natural way it goes. So like I was thinking about this, yesterday, today, about those predictions that she did many years ago. This was maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I don't know when. It might have been 2020. It might have been 2021, but she did them maybe like 2019. So it might not have been that long ago. But when the beginning of the pandemic happened, I started to get this red flag. Because it's like, well, if she sees in the future no brick and mortar stores, we're going to have a problem with businesses. If we have a problem with businesses, then the economy is not going to be so great. If the economy is not so great, then what have we got for jobs? What have we got? What's left standing? And so again, food's going to be an issue. You're going to want to buy your own stuff. Because if you're ordering, let's just say like right now, you ordered from the grocery store, somebody else is picking that out. And it's not the same to have somebody else pick out the stuff that you're eating. It just isn't. Going back to the clothing though. Those of you who have kids, say they're 3 years old. You want to get 3T, 4T, 5T, 6T. Maybe go even up to 7. If you can't afford it, get enough to go up to 10. Get enough clothes for them to make it through to their teenage years where they could wear your old stuff. If they're about the same size. If they're not about the same size, then, try to go up that far. I know it seems really far out to plan that far ahead, and most people are not going to be able to do it. Most people cannot, especially with kids. They can even afford to buy their kids diapers, let alone afford to go and get them enough clothing to last them the next 3 years. But I'm not talking the pretty wardrobe, the wardrobe that you want to take them to church on Sunday, okay, with the dresses. I'm talking about little t-shirts and pants and socks and shoes and a winter coat. And if you did it through Goodwill, it's not going to cost as much. So that's my suggestion. Those of you who can't afford to get some new clothes, go and get some winter outerwear or clothes that are going to be longer term investments. It's so interesting. I went to Chicago for school when I was in college, and I remember I had like these 3 fleece like shirts that I don't know if it was a vest, but it was like a pullover that lasted the entire time. So stuff like that's going to last you a long time. That they're going to be investments. Shoes is another thing that you're going to want to think about right now also. Okay, so I was also wanting to mention learning to sew and knit and fix things and buy used things. That's going to be able to help you save money in the long run. That's what I would suggest. But teaching our kids how to sew and knit and fix things, because things are not going to be so readily available in the future. You're not going to be able to just go and be like, okay, I'm going to go to the store and get, like a new coat for my son or my daughter. It's just not going to happen that way. Some of you need to think even bigger picture. where you consider moving out of the area of where you live. Like if say you live in a very big city. My guide showed me Chicago, New York City, Omaha, and Seattle. These are the like, big places. You're gonna want to move outside of the city, and at least so you have space to plant a garden. You don't have to get the biggest house there is. It doesn't even have to have a lot of property. You can do a lot on half an acre. You can do a lot on 1 acre. So it can be a small house with 1 acre. You could actually do a lot. And you could probably feed your family on that 1 acre lot. So the funny thing is about this Virgo energy is the Virgo likes to be compact. So like they like to feel like snug. Like it's like the fit has to be perfect, but it's like compact. So I know Virgos who tend to drive smaller vehicles. If they have a larger vehicle, it's a nice kind of luxury type larger vehicle. It's about feeling comfortable. So again, the whole thing about being compact is doing a lot with very little. To me, that's Virgo energy, is doing a lot with very little. If you can, buy any land and work together as a family to be prepared. This is something that you need to discuss with family, friends, start a co-op. I don't know where I'm going yet, but that could be something that I do in the future, something that I've wanted to do. It's one of the tougher things that's on my list is protecting your stuff. And this gets political into certain things that I'm not really going to mention, but you're going to want to protect your stuff. Protect any food that you get, and maybe don't tell anybody about it. You're going to want to prepare yourself for your kids, and you're going to want to get your will done. No matter what, you're going to want to get your will done. Everybody needs to do that. Like, that's something that's on the to-do list, checklist. And I would do that within the next 6 months. It's not like if you don't do it today, you're going to have a problem, but you need to be prepared for the kids. And to me, all of this is about the kids. This is all about being prepared for the kids. There was something else that I wanted to mention. Oh, okay. The thing about the Virgo energy, and this is something that came to me today, is that the Virgo energy is usually very maxed out. The Virgo person is maxed out. The Virgo person is working maybe a full-time job, plus they're in school, plus they have kids, plus they have a partner, plus they have outside curricular activities, plus they have social groups and all this other stuff, plus they have their friends group, and they have the full list of everything going on 100% of the time. So if you ask the Virgo if they have time, the answer is going to be no. And they're going to be maxed out. So right now, the advice for getting through this time in September, but in general, going into the future, is not maxing out your energy, not blowing out your energy, not overdoing it, saying no to stuff, crossing things off of your list, and focusing on the things that are the most important, and having a strategy for yourself and your family for later. Focusing on that. So like the Virgo person is that says, well, I can't write a list right now because I got to go to my social group. I'm 5 minutes late. Or they say, I got to get ready for my social club over here. So I got to go take a shower. I can't talk to you now, and they go over and do that. So don't make excuses of not thinking this through. This is all of this stuff. This strategy is very, very important for everybody on the planet right now. Honestly, very important. It wouldn't come up so much, but I've heard it with other psychics that there's going to be these problems. And if you're not focused on the solutions at this time, then you're going to be SOL. And I said this in my other video that I did recently, that there is an SOL point for everybody. Coming. And I don't like to see that for everybody. And for me, this is like how I kind of say, okay, well, this is what I can do right now. And the other thing too is coming out of the Leo energy, which is really overblown, overdone. Everything is maxed out. Energy, you're going to need to choose what's most important for you at this time. You're going to need to choose what you decide to get done, what you decide to do for your family. That is what you're going to need to do. And simplify. If you've got 12 vehicles, simplify down to 6. If you've got 4 houses, simplify down to 1. Compact. This is all about being compact. Now, it's interesting. My guides were showing me too. How did our grandparents get through this time? They got through this time by making stuff, by making a lot with a little. By buying a gallon of ice cream or making their own ice cream instead of, for $2, this was back then, and feeding the family rather than buying multiple and everybody getting one. So it's a thing about, if you don't have a budget, look at your budget and be like, okay, well, what have I got? What have I really got? Be really hardcore realistic. The Virgo energy is hard. It's hard energy. It's not for everyone. The Virgo energy is very, to me it's tough. It can be very tough. The Virgo energy can be very sympathetic and compassionate and understanding. They have a thing about service. So a lot of times the Virgo person is in some kind of service to others, and they can be of great service to other people. They take on a lot. But again, if you take a page from that Virgo energy right now, you're going to want to maybe not max yourself out, maybe not max out your time, maybe not max out your budget on things that you don't need or on things that are not important right now. So let's just say you're like, okay, maybe this is a good time to get a new vehicle, but it's really gonna crunch your budget, and you're gonna have $100 less in your budget per month, and that $100 is all you've got is kind of like a buffer between you bouncing your checking account. I would not get the new vehicle. I would be like, okay, this is not a time to do that. It's just one of those things you're going to want to think about. It's a budgeting thing. I can't tell you, like I've worked for several banks actually, and I did tell people, okay, like this is what you got to do with your finances, but everybody's going to be different. I have so many people watching my channel. I can't be like, okay, this is what you got to do, but I can tell you that if you don't think about things. And I mentioned this in one of my other videos, that right now we are in the Roaring 20s. What came after the Roaring 20s? Well, the Great Depression and then World War II. Let's think about that for a second. History repeats itself. Is it going to happen exactly how it happened for them? No. But the way they got through it is they made a lot with very little. They all knew how to cook. Like, if we think about my grandparents, they cooked like my grandmother cooked like every single meal. She didn't have a microwave. Everything was on the stovetop or in the oven. Everything was homemade. Everything was from scratch. And honestly, the thing about it is that it's better. It's better to cook from scratch. Anything that I eat that's like handmade, that has love in it. And this goes back to like the Italian way. The Italian way is they put their heart and soul and love into the things that they make, into the food that they make. And that has somehow been lost in our culture, at least here in the States. I don't really know too many people that put their love into the food that they make. Very few. In fact, right now, I can't think of any. And the thing about it is like I talk to people, right? So I talked to this girl recently that I met. And I was like, I just came from the, she's like, so what are you doing? Da da da. And I was like, well, I just came from the garden and I was watering. She's like, I'm so bad with plants. She's like, I kill everything. I don't even have one. And she's like young. I think she's 21. So the problem is that the person that says, well, I don't know how to grow anything, I can't plant anything, I'm not going to learn how to plant it, is the same person that's microwaving their broccoli and living off of coffee and drinking a lot and maybe eating one meal a day that's just not so good. It's a whole rethink on educating people and taking responsibility. And and I told her, I was like, it's not, it's just a perspective. It's just your perspective. It's what you believe. Like anybody who learns how to grow stuff can grow stuff. Anybody who really wants to take care of a plant can take care of a plant. It's not that hard. But you have to think, what's best for the plant? Is it the sunlight? Is it better quality soil? Is it dry soil? How many times a day are you watering it? What's best for the plant? And right now, everybody's in the mindset of what's best for me. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's best for me? How am I going to getting ahead? See, these are the questions that people are asking themselves right now. But that's the old paradigm. The old paradigm, to remind everybody, going back to what I said before, and I did talk about this, I think, in another video. I said the old paradigm is about getting ahead. The new paradigm is about getting out or unplugging the dark, which is basically the same thing. So everybody needs to get a plant and start to think what's best for that plant. If the plant needs light, put it in the window. If you don't have any light, then find a plant that doesn't need light. Some ferns don't need light. But if everybody got a plant, one plant, and I forget what her name was. I think she won the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't remember her name now. She won a prize, and she said, like, if everybody planted one tree in their garden, that's it. Everything would be different. But there's no accountability. And everybody, for whatever reason, has this perspective of, I don't have to, so why bother? Why should I? And this actually goes back to an issue that I had with one of my family members. I don't even like to talk about family members too much on here on my channel because I don't want to get into the drama of stuff, my personal stuff. But like one of my family members once said, why should I bother talking to you? I don't know you that well. This is like a distant, relative. Why should I bother talking to you? And I thought to myself, this is young. This is a young person. And to me, it represented this generation that has been taught to not care. Why should I bother to do anything? And it's very arrogant and it's very self-centered. And she was like, well, you haven't done anything for me. You haven't shown up for me. Why should I bother to be in your life? And that person is blocked. Because if they don't know, and again, going back to what I said, if you're not awake enough, I'm going to say not awake enough, but the words don't want to come out of my mouth. If you're not smart enough to really want to care about other people, or if you're not smart enough to really care about the planet, then there is no purpose. I can't say that you have purpose. You're holding space, but you're not adding anything or contributing anything to the planet at this time. Which leads me to part of the problem. Part of the problem is that the dark views people that don't care as expendable. Because on some level, they're not contributing. Now, I'm not talking about contributing like financially. I'm talking about contributing like soul-wise. There's some people who have no real soul. They just don't care. They don't care about others. They don't care about the planet. They just don't care. And I think that this is where, I think I saw like I don't know if it was magazine article. I don't know. Could have been New York Times. I don't remember where it was. But they said, I think it was a magazine where that talked about how everybody's becoming more narcissistic. And that is a word that's kind of come up a lot for me lately. I've been like looking online, reading about that, about kinds of, people that are out there. And that is one issue that I think that we all are becoming more narcissistic, whether we actually have the personality disorder or not. I think that's what what we are becoming. And you have to ask yourself, what are you becoming? Are you becoming a contributor to the planet? Are you contributing love and peace and honesty and trust? And you're building stability, you're building the new earth, you're building something good, you're building something for yourself, for your family, you're progressively trying to make things better? Or are you extracting what you can for yourself, extracting whatever benefits you can get from the planet for yourself, extracting what you can get from other people, extracting what they can do for you? These are the questions that you're going to want to ask yourself. And if you're not in a place where you can say, I'm contributing to the planet, then it's time to step into that role. Because this planet needs more positive contributors, people that are actually going to do something and make something better. And it's like, it can be a small thing that you do, whether it's getting a fern for your window, or like planting one tomato, or making some seed bombs and putting them outside somewhere, like it's the thing that it's about contributing. It's the thing that's going to shift the energy towards something better. And that's ideally where I'd like to see things go. I think I've talked about everything on my list. Did anybody have any questions? I did see something come through in the chat here. Sarah says she was talking about her students. Yeah, we all need, we need to learn to plant the garden for the planet, but we also need to learn to plant the garden for things that have not yet come to pass. And that's the reason I'm stressing it so hard. And that's the thing that I think is the real wake-up call here. Is that maybe 5 years ago, it was something where people thought it was optional. It's no longer an option. It's something that people have to do, or they will be SOL. And part of it is about things that have not come to pass that I'm not going to go into. But we've already explained that there are things that are going to happen, and many psychics have seen this happen, where there are things that are going to happen which really shake things up. Some have said it could be a natural disaster. Some have said it could be war. Some have said it could be something that goes poof. Some people have said that, it's just the climate change stuff, the apocalypse stuff. But regardless of what it is specifically, there are changes that are going to be coming. And it's already happening in the sense that if I go to the store and I see that prices have doubled and I can't afford it, and nobody can, then we have a real problem. We have a real problem. And then right now, it's like I go and I do an interview and I talk to an employer and they say, well, how much are you wanting to make? I say between 21 and 23. And they think that's a lot. And I'm going to tell you something. Okay, so this is the other thing I wanted to mention. I don't know who said it. It might have been Joseph Tittle. I try to credit anybody who I've heard before say stuff. But he might have said that anybody who wasn't making $50,000 a year, which is $25 per hour, approximately, they're not going to make it. So if you're making below $25 an hour going forward, you're not going to make it. And you will need to make changes. And that means significant life choices. Maybe moving in with someone, maybe selling things, maybe cutting back on your budget in ways that are rather extreme. But it's like up until like 6 months ago, you know, the average that I was seeing posted for most jobs was between 16 and 19 an hour, and 19 was at the high end of what employers wanted to pay. And I specifically had an interview with somebody here in town who was offering $16 an hour. And at that time, I said that's not going to be good enough. He said, well, you might want to consider accepting less because maybe you'll have more opportunities. And I was like, this is not a person I want to work for. Partly because the problem is that he does not understand what's really happening. Does this employer really get it? That $16 an hour is not going to cut it? There's no way that it could be possible for somebody to live on $16 an hour at this time. And like, so my last employer, I think I would have gotten a 33-cent raise. That would have been in November. But that wouldn't have cut it either. Because if I'm not making $25 an hour, I'm not going to make it. So those people who are not making $25 an hour, let's just say you're making $21 an hour, I would probably suggest getting a second job to boost your income somehow. Getting creative with your income somehow. This is something that I recommend at this time. Oh, now there's a Pisces full moon, and we are going into Mercury retrograde, and I kind of want to do like a whole separate video. For those of you who are interested, do you guys want to see, I don't know sure who's listening, want me to do like a separate video on Mercury retrograde and the Pisces full moon? Or what do you guys think? I haven't seen any feedback. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do another video that's specifically about the Pisces full moon and specifically about the Mercury retrograde that's coming up. But I was going to say the age of Pisces, we are moving into the age of Aquarius, right? And the age of Pisces was about saying fuck it. Was kind of about not caring. And that goes along with what I said for that person in my family who just doesn't care and is not going to care. And that person that if I went down the street and took a poll and was like, do you care? How much do you care about the planet if that tomato plant over there dies on a scale of 1 to 10? And how many people are going to say, well, they care that the tomato plant is going to die? And I bet you in this complex alone, most people would say that they just don't care and they don't have time and they won't even think about it. And that's the age of Pisces. Age of Aquarius is the humanitarian. And I will take a page and I will say this, the most important thing that Rihanna said, she was at, I think it was Harvard, it might have been Yale, event where she was getting an award for the humanitarian of the year or something like that. And Rihanna said that being a humanitarian is about the ability, when you have the ability to do something, then it becomes your responsibility. So the person, the billionaire, they have a responsibility to do something for somebody else. Now, like for me, for instance, I don't have very much. I can't do very much for other people right now. I wish that I could. But there's people that are going to need to think about that really closely, about what is becoming their responsibility and owning that. Owning the fact, if they can help somebody out, they should, because that's then their responsibility. That's the humanitarian. That's the age of Aquarius. Like I'm recording these videos. These videos take time out of my day. and I'm making nothing because I'm not able to monetize them at this point. Eventually, hopefully I will, but I still haven't been able to. So these videos are free, but it's like I'm saying to you, the point of me doing these is because I have the ability at this time to utilize this time to say, hey, you guys need a strategy. Everybody who's listening needs a strategy for these times to navigate what's coming, to cover your butt. But also, it's my responsibility to tell you, okay, these are some of the things that have come through from spirit that I need to talk about. I don't like throwing myself under any kind of bus situation with politics, and you guys know that, but I'm able to talk about some of these things. Hopefully it's giving you guys some things to think about. So I think I'm going to leave off there. I'm just going to check the chat, see if there's anything else. No. If anybody has anything to add or say, this would be the time to add or say it, because I'm going to close here. I do want to say thank you to everybody who's watching and everybody who's watched my videos for a long time, and anybody who's donated. Super grateful for everybody who's donated. Any donations, great or small, are much appreciated at this time. Even if it's $10, it significantly helps me out, puts gas in my tank, and kind of keeps me going. So appreciate that a lot. And I did say in the beginning, but I'm going to say again here, offered people referral bonuses. So look, if you know somebody that wants a reading, they get $10 off if you refer them. But also, I will send somebody $15 through PayPal once that person has booked and completed the reading. So you guys get like $15 off the top if they book. So it's a way to say thank you, and it's my way of giving back, and hopefully it kind of creates a win-win situation. I send everybody big hugs, big kisses. I'll talk to you guys again soon, hopefully. And thank you guys for watching, and I wish you guys all the best. All right, take care. Bye, guys.